Good evening, my friends. This is Mr. Jackabee, and tonight I'd like to tell you about something that happened many years ago. At the time, I was 7, my brother 10, my mum in her early 40s, and my grandmother, that's her mum, in her 60s. Grandma lived on an isolated country road in New Jersey, but had been with us for a good while now. And her house had been empty for several weeks while she'd been visiting us in Florida. But we were all back, spending the weekend with her before trekking back to Sunshine State. The house in its rural country, literally over train tracks, past a salvage yard, and her nearest neighbour, a cousin, was just in shouting distance. It's early in the morning, just like before daybreak. We're awake because the farm folks all seem to wake up at the crack of dawn from sheer ingrained habit. We're eating cereal when we hear someone pull up outside. Curious, we all run to the big picture window that looks onto the front yard. There's a strange truck there. No one seems to be behind the wheel though, but the engine is idling. The truck is, well, old for one thing. It's old-timey type of thing from the 1930s. You could picture the John Ford family heading towards California. It's rusted, but it was probably once painted blue. We stare at the thing, bewildered. Mum asks Grandma if she knows who that is. Nope, not a clue, says Grandma. She runs to get to the phone and call her cousin and ask him to come up. She thinks maybe it's a hired hand and he's just at the wrong farm. Just as she asks him to come on down, the phone goes dead. Well, that's unsettling. All at once there is a loud, insistent bang on the front door. We all scream. My grandmother, who is terrifyingly resourceful, huddles all of us into the living room, away from the window where anyone can see us. Then, while Mum, me and my brother tremble there on the couch, she grabs a serrated bread knife from the kitchen and cautiously approaches the front door. She peeks out of a side window very stealthily. She turns back to us and looks confused. She shakes her head like there's no one there. We all kind of breathe easier. Then every goddamn door in the house is banging relentlessly. I can still hear, dramatic and terrifying, like all the doors are about to splinter and crack. There are 2 doors in the basement beneath us, so the sound is also reverberating at our feet. The 3 ground floor doors are shaking. We can see them trembling and jerking on their hinges from our vantage point and sitting on the couch. Finally, Mum runs to the window, either from a psychotic break with reality or terror. I have no clue. She cries, "Oh, thank Christ, cousin is here." We run to her and peek out the kitchen window. There is no one there. We can see in the yard, but we can't see all the doors from our viewpoint. Cousin walks by the truck with a shotgun in his hand. Cousin, it should be noted, has pretty much every gun ever made. He looks puzzled, looking at the rear of the truck, and then he glances at the cab window and he stops. He goes pale, runs a hand down his face, and then he runs towards the house and towards us. My grandma flings open the kitchen door as she sees him coming and he shouts, "Everyone get behind the couch, get down, get down." He runs past us as bolt for the couch. The banging starts again, all the doors, and now we can hear the windows rattle. It's like a tornado or the end of the world. We are so scared to even scream. Cousin flicks open the door and he fires a huge shotgun once, bang, deafening. As he does, the truck roars into life and it sounds like a train. We scramble up, the banging stops mercifully. Cousin is advancing onto the lawn, gun levelled at the truck. We run behind him, wanting to be out of the way of the shaking, quivering house and near the gun with a dude holding it. The truck peels out, backwards, cutting across the yard and racing into a breakneck speed. Tires squeal, rubber is burned. Cousin fires again, and we all cower behind him. He blows out the back window with a roar of a sound of 1,000 plates smashing onto linoleum, but the truck never even hiccups, just roars down the road, no tags, not even a vanity plate on the back. There was no one behind the wheel of that thing. We all had a clear view, everyone agreed. Not a driver in the cab. Well, not anything we could see, anyhow. The police were called. Cousin had to go to his own house to call. This was way before the cell phone era. The phone line had been cut. There was not a single boot print on the entire yard except Cousin's, from where he run into and out of the house. Cousin reported that there had been no plate, but when he looked into the cab it looked like something from a horror movie. He said there were all kinds of weird restraints, handcuffs, C-clamps, nylon straps, and he said the floorboards looked covered in what smelled like blood to him. Now, let you know, Cousin was famous for his keen sense of smell, and the window was down, so it is possible. Cousin said he thought he saw a blur of something out at the picture window, and ran to fire the first shot, but missed, because once he stood there, nothing or no one was on the lawn or in the truck. Then it shot backwards out of the yard and out of our lives, leaving no answers, just a deep sense of unease every time we visited Aunt. Grandma and Cousin had passed. Deeply religious people, they stuck by their unchanging version of the story until they died. My brother, mother and I never been able to figure it out, neither did the cops. I think it should be noted we don't know how all the windows and doors were banging, and we don't know why we never saw a soul anywhere, or how they could get around the side of the house without leaving a trace in the damp earth, and I don't think we ever will. We'll never know.